This week in gaming and tech, we have the Nintendo Direct for June dropped. We're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. Plus, Metallica are in the gaming section for some reason, as well as Batman Arkham Shadow dropped its first trailer. So there's a little bit to unpack there, plus a little bit more. Let's get into it. Welcome, nerds, to this week's edition of the Gaming and Tech News, generally speaking. Now, I'm no Linus or Spawnwave or Gamers Nexus or insert channel that is dedicated to the tech and gaming news here. That's not what you're getting here. This is just enough to keep you informed, generally speaking. We do this just about every week as part of a larger news show called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel. You can find that linked down in the description or at the end of this video. Now let's talk about some gaming and tech and maybe even some like photo, video kind of news as well. Okay, so let's kick things off with follow-ups and corrections. Following up with the Fallout situation, we have a little bit of an update as far as remakes and things are concerned with Fallout and Bethesda. Specifically, the first two Fallout games, we have heard explicitly that they are not on track to remake those games at all. The reason that was given, and I'm going to paraphrase this poorly, but the reason that as I understand it, that was given is because it would take a lot to quote-unquote modernize them because they exist in a time unto themselves, is something akin to what was said. Basically, they view them as problematic, and they don't want to take the time to fix what they find problematic with the stories from those games, or the issues that arise as far as modern social politics are concerned, is kind of the subtext that I was reading into that. Though there's also the fact that they didn't make Fallouts 1 and 2, they purchased, I believe they absorbed Interplay, and that's how they got the rights to do Fallout, or maybe they bought the rights, I can't remember. But either way, they got them from Interplay somehow, and they didn't do the first two games. They started with Fallout 3 and went from there. So that's also very probably a big factor, is that that's not really their stuff. They didn't pick it up until later in the franchise. So some combination of those two things, I would imagine, are the key factors there. All right, so moving on, follow-ups, we have a little bit of a Mortal Kombat follow-up and a little bit more since my notes, because I generally end doing the notes section the night before and then try and get to recording and editing and stuff today, and then the video goes up tomorrow. But either way, so Final Kombat happened, the Super Bowl of Mortal Kombat, if you will, every year. And SonicFox won. That's kind of not super surprising. What is fairly surprising as far as the community around Mortal Kombat is concerned is kind of multifold. So the first of which, specifically dealing with SonicFox, is that SonicFox was being blamed because of weird conspiracy reasons, but was being blamed for the Cyrax situation that we I'm pretty sure we talked about on the channel, where Cyrax got unbuffed, or unnerfed rather, which is kind of a buff, but really he just went back to day one patch. So because SonicFox was such a proponent for this, and because SonicFox is kind of the most well-known NRS pro player, like, it was then theorized that he was the reason for this de-nerfing, if you will. But he won Final Kombat without using Cyrax at all, so that kind of kills that. But we did see something else during Final Kombat, and that was Peacemaker and Johnny Cage, as well as Kano and Chameleon, respectively. So I started watching at the top 8 just because I'm a grown-ass man. Sometimes I just don't have the time to watch all the Mortal Kombat gaming that I want to, because I'm trying to play as much as I can, as well as, run the YouTube channel and such. But I only watched the top 8 bracket. And it started off with a little bit more diversity, emphasis on little bit, because we got a Shao Kahn and I think a Katana. But by the time we were into the final, 6, everybody was some variation of Peacemaker and Kano, or Johnny Cage and Chameleon, with little to no variance from that. So this kind of elucidates a different problem with the game. I mean, I love the game. I've always loved the game. Since it launched back in '92, I've been a little bit of a fan. So this comes from a place of love when I say that something dramatic needs to happen with this game in order for it to live out its planned life cycle. There is just way too much broken gameplay wise that we're not even going to touch on the story because that's a whole video unto itself, but gameplay wise something needs to happen, and not just a bunch of nerfs. You can't nerf your way into making this a playable game at this point. Like, we need to see new combo strings, a lot of new combo strings for a large majority of the roster in order to make them all, as the real MK Tom Brady says, make them all pull their own weight. You need to, I absolutely agree with what he had to say in that you need to make each character whole and then have the cameo system be a +1, have the cameo system be extra on top of it. It shouldn't be necessary for these characters to feel playable. The characters should feel playable and the cameo should make it better, not equal, not even rather. So yeah, there needs to be a lot done to this, because we do have, and I think I heard him say it in his video, but I'm going to emphasize it a little bit more than he did. We have 3 characters in this game that are fully fleshed out characters, and one of them is a guest character, and that's Peacemaker. And then, so we got Peacemaker, Johnny Cage, and Ermac is the third one. I didn't see a whole lot of Ermac at Final Combat. I'm sure there were a bunch in the pools and stuff, but as you get down to the wire, you need to go for the most fleshed out, and the guys who have been around for the longest, and that's kind of Johnny Cage and Peacemaker. I would not be surprised to see that a lot more Ermac in pro competition going forward. There is another pro competition this coming weekend. I can't remember the name of the tournament, but there is Mortal Kombat featured there as well. So we hopefully will see more than just Peacemaker and Johnny Cage. And we then got, this morning as I'm filming, we got a new patch for Mortal Kombat 1, and this new patch nerfs cameos. It brings Cyrax back down to where he was pre this last patch, and then it nerfed Homelander a little bit because he did have a little bit of a broken infinite situation if he got just right in the corner. So they fixed that. They fixed a couple of buggy move issues with Homelander that kind of made him really difficult to fight. And then I fought Homelander this morning and it was much easier. And there were a couple of, but the big things are Cyrax, they nerfed Chameleon, and they nerfed, I don't remember. There's patch notes somewhere. I'll try and get them down the notes. Either way, again, I'm going to reiterate, nerfing things into oblivion is not what's going to fix the game. We need more gameplay elements added. We need more combo strings added to the other characters so they can do more than just one big bread and butter combo. I have effectively 2 bread and butter combos with my Scorpion. Scorpion's my main. That just doesn't play well with others as far as my brain is concerned when I'm trying to pick up other characters when they launch. So having only one big combo and then one combo that I can do if I'm in very rare situation, then it makes it a little less exciting to play Mortal Kombat. I'm still addicted, so I still play all the damn time, but I'm kind of an exception to the rule. If I were a casual player, I would have quit long time ago. So yeah, I'm just spending way too much time on a follow-up here, but yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. Well, let's move on. Next up, we have the Metallica situation that we were talking about. Fortnite is doing some rhythm-based stuff, it would seem, and they're doing it with Metallica. So the name of the new game mode is Battle Stage. It's a team up with Metallica to promote this. They are going to be featured in the game, and very little has been released about the actual gameplay in this mode. It does seem like it is going to be rhythm-based, which would make sense because you're effectively on a stage playing music at other people to battle them, and it is PvP, so player versus player. That's, I mean, Fortnite, so yeah, that makes sense. And that's all we got. That's all we really know about this. So if we get a little bit more before it launches, I did not see a launch date, at least not that I put in the notes, but there is a link to the trailer for this down in the description as well, so go check that out and see if you can make heads or tails of what exactly is going to go on there, and we'll talk about that in the comment section if we need to. But that's all we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's move now into trailers. We have I take that back. We have 2 trailers this week for gaming. First one is the big one, and that is Batman Arkham Shadow. We now know that there is going to be a different villain for this. It is still set in the Arkham world. It is just the world that was previously established in the other 4 games, which I don't know if you really want to count Arkham Origins, but it technically is the same. So this is going to exist there. Our new villain for this game, though, is the Rat King. And we have a voice actor situation here that might work. I don't know. If it's the same dude who's doing the voice in the trailer, there are enough similarities to Conroy's Batman that I might not be pulled out of the game. Though, I don't have a MetaQuest 3, so I can't play the game, but I am going to watch a lot of Let's Plays, so that's what we got there. Go check out that trailer. It looks pretty cool. And then we have the other one that kind of took me a little bit by surprise with the detail, and that is A Quiet Place Road Ahead. I believe we talked about this game when it was originally announced to be in development. We now have a trailer for it, a little bit of gameplay in this trailer that really has me excited to give it a shot. Links, as always, to all these trailers can be found down in the video description, so go check that out. If you're on the audio portion, then it's gonna be there too, but it might be a little bit more difficult to get to where the link is taking you. So go check out the video. From there, though, let's get into some regular ass news for gaming and tech. And of course, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct. It just kept, just like every Nintendo Direct, it's been a while since I've actually watched one when it was airing or just had aired. But it's what I remember, and it's game after game after game after game after game. So the thing generally, though, with Nintendo Direct is, do I care about this game and this game and this game and this game? And it kind of, yeah, this time almost all of the games were like, I'm super excited to be playing that. That's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun to play too. So is that. Oh my God, I have to buy that as soon as it launches. That's out today. Yeah, there's a whole lot of that going on, especially once we got to the end of the Nintendo Direct, but we'll get to that. So games that are noteworthy that were announced. We have another Mario platforming game announced for the Switch. This one is Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is a little bit of a silly phrase, but whatever. It will be out. Oh, no release date for that one just yet. The other one that the next one rather that I thought was cool was Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. So it's championship. Let me find my words real quick. All right, so back when the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES as the kids are wont to call it, back when the NES was the console on the market, there was a cartridge that was released that was the Nintendo World Championship cartridge. It is what they used for pro gaming at the time. And there's a whole lot of videos about it on the YouTubes. Go watch those. You get a lot more detail about it. But the long and the short of it is, it's not full instances of the games involved. It's just select levels. Some of them are special levels just for the World Championship cartridge. So fast forward now to 2024, and we have the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition coming on the digital side of the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but you're going to be able to play online, and that's kind of freaking awesome. So you can do head-to-head, and they have different head-to-head modes. Go check out the trailer. Go just watch the Nintendo Direct, honestly, but if you don't want to, that's why we go over the notes. 150 speedrunning challenges across 13 games. This one is launching July 18th, so you have about a month. Pre-orders are open currently. So there were a few games in between there and here, but we're going now to the Among Us trailer portion, I guess, of the Nintendo Direct. There are 3 new imposter roles. I'm not an Among Us player, so I don't know exactly how those are going to factor in, but sounded pretty cool, so that's definitely worth your time. That is live now, currently, as we are talking, so if you're an Among Us fan, go download it, please. Then we have Farmiga. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. This one looks like another Pokemon ripoff. That's why we're talking about just, it's different in key instances, but the broad strokes, much like Pal World, although Pal World, you can get a little more granular and it still looks a lot like Pokemon, but the broad strokes of this feel very much like Pokemon, but there's a couple of gameplay elements that they change up to differentiate it from that game that I think are super interesting. Like, you take all of your animals and you can put them together and they create one large animal, so it like makes sense to have multiples of a certain, it looks pretty dang cool. Go check that one out as well. That one launches November 1st if you're interested. The next big one I was excited for was Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. So this is the Wii game getting remade in high definition, which, yes, please and thank you. Just, there's not a whole lot of bad that could come from that. And then on top of the full Wii game, you also are getting a couple of levels that are from the 3DS version of the Wii game that was, all kinds of extra goodness. And it doesn't stop there. That one is January 16th of 2025. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. We've talked about this previously. The big thing here is we have the release date, and that is November 14th. The next one was Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Release date on that one is June 27th, so we have a week before the next Luigi Mansion. Metal Slug Reloaded is one that I was super stoked to see. I'm sorry, Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. It is going to be a RPG. It's a roguelike RPG. I'm sorry, not RPG. Defense game. It is a tower defense and done in Metal Slug style. So it's going to be all kinds of arcade fun. It is going to be online. It launched already. You can go download that one now if you've got the Ruples. The next one is, where is it? Darkest Dungeon 2, roguelike RPG with turn-based combat. That one looks like a lot of fun. That's a trailer you should actively go seek out. July 15th is the release date there. Classic titles. This was one that also kind of got me super stoked. We have Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past 4 Swords, which you can play online multiplayer, which is going to be fantastic. We also have Metroid Zero Mission, which and then Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and Perfect Dark. Those two games, I might be getting the NSO service just so I can play those games and then all of the like old school Nintendo games that I grew up on. So yeah, that definitely is the kind of thing that I really like to see in these Nintendo Directs. From there, we're gonna move over, skip a couple things, and go to Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. This looks bonkers. It's going to include X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which it's almost an arcade accurate port. The only things that aren't arcade accurate are the playable characters. They're adding to the playable characters, because previously you had to have the ROM and then you had to hack the ROM in order to play, I believe it was Magneto and Juggernaut in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and they're just making them playable. And then Cyber Akuma in one of the other games in this collection. I didn't even know that was a thing because I haven't played all these games in so long, and I'd never really played them into any sort of depth. I just, oh look, X-Men and Street Fighter, I'm down, or Marvel and Capcom, I'm totally down. So yeah, just the incredible amount of depth. Go watch Maximilian Dude's his reaction to this game, because he goes into much finer detail with all of the awesome that is going to be happening with this fighting collection. From there, we have Super Mario Party Jamboree. Looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So I used to play this with my little sister on the Nintendo 64. She thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. They're including some of that Nintendo 64 action in this Jamboree game. I'm super excited. Yeah, just go check. If you're a Mario Party fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This looks like it is going to be the biggest Mario Party ever. And I mean, who could blame them? From there, we have a new Legend of Zelda game. This one, I think we're going to have to spend a little bit of time on, because It's not a continuation. We already knew that we weren't going to be returning to the version of Hyrule that we got in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because they told us very explicitly that that story had come to its conclusion. So we were kind of anticipating maybe seeing something other than the Link to the Past 4 Swords game. Maybe we're going to get a remake, maybe there's going to be some other thing going on with The Legend of Zelda. I don't know that anybody was fully expecting a brand new full-fledged game. Also, I don't know that anybody was expecting a brand new full-fledged game that is top-down and not open world. That's pretty crazy too. And then on top of it, they're also including brand new gameplay mechanics, much like they did in Tears of the Kingdom. Only it's a different gameplay mechanic. It's not the same. You don't have the hand. You can't fuse things together. But you kind of can. It's just a different way to do it. And that is a trailer you must absolutely sit back and analyze, because just watching it isn't going to be satisfactory enough. You have to watch it. You have to watch it twice, and then you have to watch it frame by frame just to see all of the greatness that's going on there. The release date on that one is September 26th. They're also going to be releasing, much like they did, there was a Zelda-themed Switch OLED Switch, I think it was. Now they're doing a Zelda-themed Switch Lite when this one launches, so that's pretty cool. Lego Horizon Adventures. This one kind of took me by surprise as well, because Horizon is a Sony property. It even says at the beginning of the trailer that it is brought to you from Sony Studios or something along those lines. So there's a Sony name drop at the beginning of this, because they have to get their credit, because this is their property coming to a Nintendo console. That's pretty crazy. Granted, it is via the Lego architecture, so it's not exactly the Horizon game, but it's going to be the same game on the PlayStation 5, and it's not coming to the Xbox, as far as I've seen anyway. So, that's fairly freaking noteworthy. So I might actually get to play Horizon game, because that I have a Switch. I don't have a PlayStation 5. That's coming out this holiday season, so no direct date, but sometime late October, early November seems reasonable. From there, we have Stray. This is the other one I got super excited for. I got super excited for all of these, right? Stray, though, I've wanted to play this game since it launched. It was a PlayStation exclusive. It's now coming to the Nintendo Switch, also coming to Steam, I believe, or it's already on Steam. I can't remember. But my computer sucks as far as gaming is concerned. I can barely edit these videos, but I got a Switch. So that's going to be one that we get. Also launches this holiday season. Again, probably end of October, sometime beginning November, the very latest Black Friday. From there, we have Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. It's going to include the 2 Miles Edgeworth games with new visuals and classic sprites. That one launches September 6th. We have a couple of things from there that weren't as noteworthy as Metroid Prime 4 finally has a trailer. We know what it's going to look like, and we kinda know when it's gonna launch, sometime 2025, but still we have a trailer we can sit back and watch and analyze and look at every frame and go crazy for. But it looks really good. I don't know how much of what we got in this trailer is actually going to find its way into the actual game, or if this was just put together for the trailer. Either way, yes, please, and thank you. That, though, is where the Nintendo Direct ended, so that's where we're going to end talking about the Nintendo Direct, because this is a lot of stuff. From there, we're still in gaming and tech, so we got a little bit of tech to talk about, and a little bit on the software side of tech. That is Adobe. Adobe is being sued by the FTC. The United States Federal Trade Commission is suing Adobe over anti-consumer practices. So the long and the short of it is, Adobe is very hard to cancel. Previously, the FTC has also sued Amazon for a very similar practice, in that it's very hard to cancel, it was at least, very hard to cancel your Amazon subscription. Now, they're going after Adobe because it's very hard to cancel your Adobe subscription. And once you finally do, one of two things might happen. There's 3 potential outcomes. The good one is you actually cancel your subscription, you don't have to pay them anymore. Or you might not actually cancel your subscription, even though somehow they've led you to believe that you've canceled your subscription, and then you see that they're still taking money out months later, and you go, wait a minute, that's supposed to have been canceled, and you have to go all through it all over again. Or Option number C is a lot worse because you actually get to cancel your subscription, but you still owe them for a program that you cannot use anymore. What I mean by that is if you are in your first year of service with Adobe Cloud, this is the first time you've used Adobe, you've never paid them before, then the plan you signed up for, especially if you're paying month to month and not a yearly payment, but if you're month to month plan, which is like $60 US, then you have actually signed up for a year commitment at that month to month price, which is very shady in and of itself. So that, because you have signed up for a year commitment, if you cancel before that year is up, you take however deep you are into that year. So a year is 12 months. Let's say you cancel it 6 months in, and I think it's sitting right now at $650 if you do the annual. So I think it's like $725 or something like that if you do the month to month. So we'll say $700. So if you cancel at month 6 of your first year of service with Adobe, then you owe them 50% of what's left. So effectively a quarter of what's left. So at month 6, you cancel. You've already paid them, what did we say, $700. So we're looking at $350. You've paid them $350. You then technically owe them $175 because that would be 50% of what's left in your year contract that you didn't know you signed and was not explicitly laid out for you until you try to cancel your service. And that's why they're being sued. Hopefully this snowballs and we get a little bit more leniency, we get a little bit more plan options, we get the option to pay them once, not get any more updates, just use the program in that instance, if you will, to add to perpetuity and not have to worry about paying them $650 freaking dollars a year in order to have access to the thing that I've already paid you $1,200 for. Sorry, a little close to home, this one. But yeah, so that's what's going on. The FTC is suing the Adobe people. So we'll be keeping tabs on that one. That is, though, what we have for regularized news this week, which leaves only our suggestions for gaming and tech. Our gaming suggestion is what it's going to be. It's going to be Batman Arkham Asylum, the game that started it all. Well, actually, if you wanted to go to the game that started it all, we'd be talking about, what was that, Spider-Man on the Nintendo 64, I believe. Either way, Batman Arkham Asylum, that is absolutely one of my favorite games to have come out in the last 20 freaking years. And I'm not alone in this. This is regarded by many, many people as one of the most classic beat-em-up games out there. So do yourself a favor, find a way to play it, and put in some Batman Arkham Asylum action and see where all of this crazy Batman, and then see why everybody's going nuts about the fact that they're trying to still make these games. That is your suggestion for gaming this week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.